So at first, I didn't want to do anything related to the Season 8 premiere episode, School Daze. Why? Because it was one of the most boring episodes I have ever seen. Sure, there have been bad episodes and just okay ones, but this was the first time I remember having no investment along with anything else wrong I could point out in a review. And I really didn't want to just complain for a couple of minutes about why. Then after some thinking about it and seeing a few other reviews, I began thinking, how could I simply write this whole premiere better? So I figured, much like with the Granny Gone Wild video, I'd just skip ahead to the ladder, and here we are now. So, what would I change? Well, how about those first few clunky minutes? Now, I know it's great having the show say the movie is canon, but the way it's done just felt really forced. So instead, just have them note the map is extended and show the locations instead of saying this and that. Next, we have the idea of how the school comes to be, which was even more clumsily and out of nowhere. Personally, instead of a school, why not just have it be more of an exchange program? And if you need to have a new building to sell toys, have it be a new wing of the castle to hold the kids instead. So regardless of if I got to remove the school, what would matter is how this idea came to pass to Twilight. Now, I don't think this is necessarily a bad step for her character, but the way it was set up just, again, had it come out of nowhere. So why not instead we say, as the girls are gawking at the expanded table, one of them makes some kind of odd comment on how their world got a whole lot bigger. Or something along the lines of how to make Twilight question the better way to spread love and friendship across the land. She leaves to ponder this, and we then cut to Spike and Starlight seeing her being crazy and adorkable, and from there, we get the idea of either the school or the exchange program. Now we leave a lot of the episode the same to get to the EEA's villain, actually one big change. When Celestia mentions this to Twilight, she says she established it. I know Celestia being a god is long dead, but this change at least keeps her from being powered down more, while showing possibly even a more mortal side that can admit she can't oversee every aspect of government life in Equestria. We'll have Naysayer act more hesitant of the idea and even openly states his racism. I mean, it was already clearly spelled out he was going to be the villain with this line, so why not just go all the way? We then cut to the opening of the school, new wing of the castle. Oh, and let's remove the song. Yeah, the song was just the most boring part of the episode. Second only to my second least favorite part, the new students. Now at first I thought their issues was that they were just main 6 clones standing against some real timeless characters and nothing could be done. But then after thinking about it, I realized this isn't true. We had plenty of standout characters who had less screen time than these kids, and they were able to become just as memorable, if not more so, than the main 6. After some additional thinking, I realized the problem with these 6 are, they have no conflict to get invested in. Sure, they have interesting flaws and quirks to get behind, but there's nothing to make me want to see more of them. These kids had none of that since, more or less, they all seem to instantly get along. So here's my setup on how they meet. So as the party starts, we see Silverstream goofing around with Gallus. This causes Gallus to be annoyed, even calling her something insulting like a chicken or fish, the idea being griffins don't think fondly of hippogriffs. Hurton wanting to win him over, and after seeing he likes trouble, she suggests doing something like a prank, singling out Yona and seeing how clumsy she is. Silver suggests they trip her, and Gallus smiles wickedly. We then cut to meet up with Smolder, and from her, either dad or uncle. Oh, on that note, let's establish some relationships to all these kids with the main adults. I mean, come on. You don't need to say they're parents, but establishing some relationships with these kids would go a long way. Anyway, we learn from Aunt Amber that dragons and yaks have a rough history. Now watch as I make, in my opinion, the most forgettable character become the most important. As he's Naysayers, I know some would be a stretch, but for convenience sake, let's say nephew unless you want to change his design. Now, he's there without his uncle's knowledge, as any pony's welcome to meet the new races to Equestria. This is where he meets Olalish, who's just trying to blend in. Sandbar bumps into her, causing Olalish to drop her disguise. She squeaks, being sad and scared of ponies because of the whole Canalot invasion thing. However, to her surprise, Sandbar thinks her shapeshifting is cool. We then see the prank of Gallus and Silver, causing Yona to ram into Smolder. Smolder lets out a breath of fire, scaring Olalish, which upsets Sandbar as they were getting along. Silver worries they went too far before Gallus calls her a spoiled sport, to which Yona realizes who tripped her. Smolder laughs and Sandbar says something along the line of let off or leave her alone, before Smolder tells him to butt out. Olalish tries to stand up to this, but backs down at Smolder's glare, and so on, as the 6 are all but verbally, and even physically if the censors allow it. At which, Twilight, the parents, and the main 6 come in to break them up. They do, and Twilight gives them either detention or sends them aside to think about what they did. This leaves our new heroes time to sit in quiet, to sulk, and while some tensions are still present, the bonds of friendships are starting to form, just not as a whole unit yet. Let's say we have Smolder thinking Silver is funny for making something like fart noises, but still prejudiced against Yona, even if she thinks Smolder is cool. Silver's still mad at Gallus for messing with her, but finds she has a lot in common with Yona, and so forth, and we even have shipping fuel with Olish and Sandbar, who at this point, his role is to simply be the outsider, aka us, that we can relate to, and who can ask the questions about these new cultures for us. That is, until Naysayer storms in, demanding to know what happened, only to see his son/nephew friendly with a changeling, and demands the school program be closed, cutting to commercial as the 6 new friends gasp in horror. Now see how all at once you have something to get invested in with these new characters? How they have conflicts both with themselves and the rest of the world trying to be friends? How this story went from just trying to rip off Harry Potter to something that is worth getting invested in. Sure, the original version was about the fate of the school and the whole world, but this route has the problem of being more personal, while setting up future conflicts for future stories. As for the rest of the episode, it can go on much the same. The school program is shut down, the kids run away, the adults establish as their parents or aunts threaten war, which if you did establish their relationships, this might have made it more intentional. We see their faults and in some cases distrust makes their lives difficult, as say, Smolder doesn't trust Yona to help with something heavy, which he drops, Gallus and Silver claw at each other, and Olish wants to keep her head down, maybe Sandbar showing favoritism towards her, which irks off Gallus and Smolder, etc. They're still happy to be with each other, but soon realize they have a lot to learn. Then they attack, and work together to survive until the main 6 rescue them. And then the episode ends much the same way, well with Naysayer trying to talk Sandbar out of the whole thing a bit more, in turn, making his motive far more relatable than just being racist, while making any possible inevitable reformation more believable. So that's how I personally reread the episode, though what did you think? I'd love to know, or heck, how'd you reread the season premiere? This is AJ, and I hope you had a good time.